We are live.
Thank you. Good morning, executives and governance committee members. I appreciate your attendance today as we go through today's agenda. The time now is 11:02. I want to call this meeting to order. Thank you. First, we have on our proposed board action agenda items for consideration. We have 8 proposed items for next week's agenda. I believe there was a great coverage during the committees last week pertaining to most of the items. Madam CEO, I would turn the floor over to you and staff to provide additional discussion on these proposed items.
Thank you so much, Chairman Cody. For the first item on the COVID-19 emergency measures extension, I would ask for Mr. Dumas to please give us a response of further information on that.
Morning, Chairman, and to all the board members. On the COVID response measures, we simply made an addition to that the last mandate given by the FTA and CDC to extend it until April 18th, 2022. So I've made that adjustment in the board submission form that you'll have with that new date in place. And additionally, we've added some notes, one additional note to state that we have also put the mask holder in place at the ITC. This is not new, but we added it to the report to indicate that we put a dispenser there at the ITC, which will allow customers to get the mask before boarding the bus, which kind of takes the operator out of the equation to have to ask or insinuate get a mask, but the operators will still do that if they board the bus without one, because on each of the buses, they do have dispensers as well. So we added that to the measure.
Very good. All right, the next items on the agenda, B through G, the security services contract award down through the RFP issuance. I would ask Ms. Cutter, our CFO, to please share the information with each of those items with you.
Okay, the security services proposals have come in and they are under evaluation as we speak, close to a recommendation that will be forthcoming. There were 2 proposals that came in, one from our temporary security services provider, Sun State, and another. On the Naval Engineering Services contract amendment, that's pretty much to change the scope, to ask them to produce specs on a hybrid vessel in lieu of a full diesel powered vessel. The next, the electric bus rollout and implementation plan. Those proposals are in and a recommendation is forthcoming. The highest ranking proposal did come in under budget, so that's good news. Also being recommended for approval is the special incentive program. And what that is really a peer-to-peer referral program wherein employees are rewarded for referring an applicant, and the applicant remains with the organization for 6 consecutive months. Also on the agenda is the line of credit renewal. I'm sure each of you are familiar with that. It's going to be recommended that we move forward with another renewal that will take us through April of 2023. The RFP for the master, well, the GDOT application submission and local match. Mr. Massimo, do you want to speak on that at this point, or are you on the GDOT application?
Yes, so we are working this morning. We've just learned, as a matter of fact, just within the last half hour, that Federal Highway Administration is requesting a particular part of the process be followed on this with GAMPO. And so I've got to reach out to the GAMPO staff today, or excuse me, I'm sorry, not GAMPO, to the core MPO staff. This will go to GAMPO, to the core MPO staff, and I've got to request of them that we have a special called TCC and Policy Committee meeting in order to consider this for submission. And that has to occur within the next week. So this is going to be a quick stretch. In the meantime, we're also working on Plan B options. Should it turn out that the GAMPO application and the PL funds not be able to move forward because of this requirement that Federal Highway is making of us. So, but we are going ahead and pursuing that today, and we'll be reaching out to our partners with Core MPO to help support that request that we're making.
Okay, and to go along with that, of course, the RFP for that, it's what, 98% complete, very thorough, and we will be working with and bring forward that for to be issued. The special incentive employee referral program, I have already spoken about that. Are there any additional questions regarding any of the items B through H?
Just for the record, we have Director Emister has joined us. Good morning.
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 We'll move to updates to the committee. We've mentioned before, of course, that one of our electric vehicles is going to be featured in the St. Patrick's Day Parade. If you would like to ride the electric vehicle that day and participate, if you would, please let Ms. Beverly Dumas know, and we will make sure to get that information to you on how to join and ride along that day. And be a part of how we're electrifying the St. Patrick's Day Parade. Also, we're very excited about the FY23 budget workshop coming up on March 31st. Ms. Cutter is certainly doing an incredible job of preparing us for that. And we are working diligently behind the scenes, and we'll have a number of thoughtful considerations to present to the board about our path forward. On the Earth Day event will be our electric bus ribbon cutting for our fleet of electric buses on April the 22nd. And we anticipate having a number of honored guests there in addition to our own board. So that'll be another great event for us that day. And then lastly, very excited about the CEO and board governance training. Our new proposed date is April the 30th. We will begin that day with a business chemistry training or business chemistry activity by Deloitte. You will be getting an email from Deloitte in advance of the meeting, and there is a test, I suppose you might call it, that you will be taking that'll be a part of measuring your business chemistry and will be a part of the report out that you get at the meeting that day. So we will remind you when that email goes out so that you'll be sure to be on the lookout for it and get that finished before the in time for the analysis. And then also we're very excited that Dr. Otis Johnson will be serving as our facilitator for the afternoon portion of the session, and we will be in a team building phase as a board, but we will also then be spending some time with you, he and I together, to talk to you about your policy framework inputs into the master transit plan that we have under development now. So it's going to be a really, I think, exciting Saturday. So those are all of the updates to the committee.
Thank you, Madam CEO.
I have a question. What exactly are we doing on the ribbon cutting on Earth Day?
I think the details of that are still in progress, but we've invited a number of partners, state and federal and local partners. And we're going to have the all six, I think it's six of the electric buses there. Mr. Dumas, do you have any more details on exactly what we're going to do that day?
And so some additional information, yes, you're correct. We're going to start here at CAT facility, and all the electric buses will be there on display, allowing anyone to see them, view them, to board those buses while they're here at the garage. Also to see this charging, the remote charging station that we have on back of a trailer, so that we can show them that if we had to transfer or travel away from Chatham County, this vehicle will be able to go as well to keep those vehicles charged. And then I think after they view the vehicle, there will also be a tour leaving on one of the vehicles to take a short trip around the Savannah area, just so that they can see how the bus operates as well.
And the only thing that's concerning me right now is that we've got these 6 electrics sitting on the lot, and we're sending out gas guzzlers with the price of gas going exorbitantly high. Why aren't we putting these in service? They've been here well over a year now, and they still aren't moving. We can bring them back for Earth Day, but do we need more than one bus sitting there for people to look at?
We have been working, Dr. O'Halloran. We will look at that and get back to you on whether or not we can put them in service sooner. One of the things that we've been doing is running a lot of testing and routes. I don't know if all of that had been accomplished in the year prior, but have been doing for at least for the last month a substantial amount of testing of the vehicles in terms of both the routes they run, the electrification infrastructure, and identifying bugs and things that needed resolution, and have been doing that so that when we do put them on the road, they run quite flawlessly. And I think this has been time well spent, but we'll see if we can accelerate a bit in advance of the earth, the ribbon cutting, and we'll let you know.
Yeah, I'd love to see us using them
Chairman.
for the shuttle for St. Patrick's Day, to get them out for everyone to see. At least 2 of them, and then we can see what kind of mileage we're getting out of them. And they'll be coming very close to downtown, so we can always pull them in for recharging and replace them with another bus. Because I know there's a cycle of how those shuttles are going to work. So maybe that would be a good test run for these vehicles.
Yeah, Director Leggett.
It was already answered.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Dr. Halloran, you mentioned about the cycle of how the shuttles will run. I missed that. So can you explain what you mean, that portion again for me?
Oh, the St. Patrick's Day, we run shuttles, I know, from Wilmington Island and from Pooler back and forth to town. So the buses won't ever be more than a couple of miles from Cat Central in case they need recharging. And we should have backup buses in case we have to send one of the regular buses out on the routes.
Okay, I thought that's what you said. I just wanted to be sure. So this year we will not be participating in the shuttle service for St. Patrick's Day because of the problem that we're having with staffing. So we don't have the proper number of operators to be able to do that service this year.
Even with the DOT shuttle being closed down for the day, won't there be extra drivers?
We are hoping that with the service of the DOT shuttle, that they're able to provide additional service on the lines that we're going to be impacted.
Okay.
Yeah, like the Arrowcorn and the Waters Road. So we hope to put additional buses to do with the overcrowding that we may face that day.
All right, sorry to hear that happening, but we can't drive buses that we don't have drivers for.
Yes, sir. And additional, we also, with that electric bus, we have a couple of agencies that are doing completed training as we are speaking now. They're doing training, so we're making sure that all of our operators have been fully trained on the electric vehicles, supervised as well. So that process is going through the rest of this month. And that's why we were not trying to push it out before April because we needed to make sure everybody sign off with the proper training, skilled techniques, so that when we put that bus on the road, we're not, the only thing that we're determining after that is through the study is to determine how well those buses perform. And through that study that will be done, we will be able to justify, as the board has asked, to determine whether or not we're going to continue to move forward with changing our fleet out from diesel to electric buses.
And are we going to be applying, are there any, when do they open up these NOLO grants for electrification? They're talking about 560 million or what, I forgot what the number was that Buttigieg said was it's going to be available. Is that going to be soon, hopefully?
They are issuing NOFOs right now pretty aggressively. So we will be sure to get all the dates and everything to you. We're also pursuing earmarks for various improvements, not necessarily this, but other improvements as well. So we've got a couple of different funding strategies and funding opportunities, Dr. O'Halloran, that we're thinking about against the background of all of our needs.
Yeah, I know we've dovetailed into other people's buying funds to get our buses ordered so that I guess we save a little money by doing it in group ordering than individual ordering. And I'm not sure how many of our buses are due to go out within the next 6 months for service mileage.
I can get that number from our maintenance staff. I don't have the number handy, but I can get that information and make sure that we pass it on to you, sir.
Yeah, those are the ones we need to start replacing with electrics if we're going to continue the NOLO. Of course, that's all part of the master transit plan, which we're still working on. I know it kind of died about a year ago, but that's something we need to keep track of because the FDA will be looking. Or FTA, did I say FDA? Sorry. That's all I had.
Thank you, Dr. O. Do we have any more questions, comments? All right. Next, we'll be moving on to the recommendations for committee. This will be circling around our committee chairs. I want to know would any of you like to recommend any reporting requests for next month's agenda?
Can you ask that again?
Would anybody like to report anything for next month agenda from the committee?
Reporter request.
Request for next month's agenda.
I would like an update on where we are with possible the first mile, last mile with the Uber connectors or Lyft connectors.
That is excellent. I'm so glad you brought that up. We will have an update for you by the next meeting. We met with one of our peer systems this week by Zoom to understand the success of their program, and had our legal team on that call as well in terms of how we're crafting those agreements and so forth. And I think that we've got some thoughts on a very reasonable partnership for us that affords the kind of liability protections and so forth that we would want, and also engages the activities in a way that helps support our riders. So I think by the next meeting, we could have a really good report on that for you, Director.
Thank you.
This is Alderman Director Leggett. If we can we get an update on the progression of attracting more people to our agency?
Yes, sir. We certainly can. You know, we've mentioned the special incentive employee referral program, where we are incentivizing, especially our operators, the areas where we really have great need in our operators. We are incentivizing operators to help us bring new talent to CAT. And so we think that that's one strategy. And then, of course, we are also actively recruiting, for other positions throughout CAT as well. And we're glad to give you an update on that.
Do we have any more requests?
Not a request, but I mentioned to Eric, I don't know where that went, about the age requirements that were in the CAT Express the other day, being 23 for a fixed and 21 for a paratransit driver. Is
Right.
that-
I'm still waiting to get confirmation on where we are with that from HR.
Okay, I thought it was lowered to 18, but I didn't know when that went into effect.
I think it has been. We just want to confirm that we actually applied that.
The CDL license requirements were reduced to 18 about a month ago. And so there's that. And then in addition, one of the things that we're going to have some discussions about is also in especially in the operator space, again, in hiring folks in without the CDL and then putting them through the CDL training. If we have a candidate that might be a really strong candidate, some of our peer systems are doing exactly that. And I understand we may have even done that at some point in our history. So we're going to be pursuing that as well.
Yeah, especially with the paratransit drivers who don't require the CDL. Are we still way short on those? And are we still only getting 1 day of help from the county or CRC?
We had a full class, this last class of paratransit. I believe we had a full class. Mr. Dumas, are you still?
Yes,
still
I'm serious. We still have a deficit there. We still are in our 20s as far as the shortage that we have. We are currently budgeted for 42 drivers. And we have about 20, I think, on that current list. We have a class now with 3 candidates that are in the current class. And we'll continue to aggressively try to hire as many as we can. So we're getting whatever number. If we get 2 or 3, we start a class. So that's where we are. So we're still short on drivers on paratransit and fixed route.
Dr. O'Halloran, I think it's been maybe now about a week ago, we had sent some information out to you all. I think it was on a Friday evening, just to make sure that you had, I think it was a week ago Friday. We had sent out updated information in case you got questions around where we are in terms of our operator shortage in both fixed route and paratransit, where we are in terms of the training classes and so forth. The information that was in that email, that was, like I said, I think it was a week ago this past Friday. That information is current in terms of a snapshot of our operator situation. And it's, while we're still short, we are making progress.
Have we thought about going with part-time paratransit drivers rather than all full-time?
We're open to part-time as well as full-time. We've had it in our budget to be able to hire them. And some have even requested to do part-time. So we're open to both full-time and part-time.
Good. Yeah, that may help people like options where they're not, in an 8 or 10 hour shift and can do 4 hours here and 4 hours there, especially on our busy days. Like, is it still Wednesday? I'm assuming where the massive rush for paratransit is.
That's correct. Wednesday is still the highest day of occupancy.
I still haven't figured that one out. Do not figure that one out.
Thank you. Do we have any more committee updates? All right, moving on to old and new business. So we will be adding first mile, last mile for Director Stone. We get an update on the incentive program from Director Leggett. And we want to get the age requirement for Dr. Halloran.
Yes, sir. Have it noted. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. All right. Do we have any more questions or comments before we adjourn? All right. I want to thank everybody for participating today. And at this time, we will adjourn this meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Have a good one,
everyone.
everyone.